Hello, I want to do something a little different here and kind of change things up. I want to introduce the next section or lesson, which is marketing. I want to start out with this. Ultimately, like it or not, the one thing that matters most in determining whether your business succeeds or fails miserably is marketing. Fast, gigantic leaps come from only one place: sales and marketing. Dan Kennedy. Person who knows how to focus on, gets, keeps, and cultivates ideal customers gets paid the most. Period. So these are just philosophies, and I want to start out by talking about the lies that we've all been taught all our lives about marketing. I got a degree in marketing in 1976. I spent 35 years of my life in various marketing roles and sales roles, product management roles, and two Fortune 1000 companies, and then in a pretty large company before I got into coaching. But all those years, I mean, I was the senior vice president of marketing and new business development at about a $120 million company, and I was still doing marketing the old way, which was basically, well, we haven't tried that in a while. Let's try this. Have we got out any postcards lately? Have we done this? Have we done that? Um, just always kind of not having a plan and not having a real clear message, but just doing what we thought would work, trying it out, failing some, winning some, but there wasn't a lot of rhyme or reason to it. So when I started coaching, I started thinking about and studying marketing in a different way. And of course, things have changed a lot with the advent of the internet, social media, those kinds of things. But still today, when I talk to small business people, they tell me, these are the things they're looking for in marketing. I just need to get my name out there more. It's all about frequency. I just need to do things frequent. I need to do radio ads, TV ads, whatever I'm doing, frequency is the key to it. All I need is a superstar salesperson, a real closer. Marketing costs too much. You know what? And it costs so much, and there's just no way of knowing if it's working or not. So some of my marketing's working and some of it's not, but I don't know which is working and which isn't. I've tried that and it didn't work. My market is different than everybody else's. We're in a different market here than people are across the country. All I need is more leads. If you could just get me more leads, find a way to get me more leads, my problems would be solved. To grow, I need to expand my market. Maybe I need to move into a new territory or a new market or new product lines. I need to go out in bigger areas and get more market, more customers and prospects to call on. More cold calling would be great. If I could find a salesman who would really cold call, that's what I need. I can't afford to do more marketing. Business is down because the phone isn't ringing. That's my favorite one. Lower prices will boost my business. Everyone buys on price. That's the way it is today. Everybody buys on price. So those are a lot of the things that people believe that are holding them back. And if they could just get answers to those questions and get some help, boy, they could take off. Their growth would take off immensely. So what I want to do the next few minutes is just kind of talk about the philosophies that I've learned and have incorporated with small business owners across the country that really work. Um, First of all, I've borrowed and stole from a lot of people my philosophy or my definition of marketing. And I believe that marketing is the use of focused, relevant, frequent communications to effectively and efficiently get people with similar needs, wants, pains, and fears to know, like, and then trust you. So let's go through that again. It's focused, frequent, relevant communications because we can't afford as small business people to be frequent unless we can focus down to a certain number of people that we want to be frequent with relevant information. To effectively and efficiently, well, of course, like I said, we need to be effective, but we need to be efficient at the same time. We don't have unlimited funds and cash flow to be able to throw stuff against the wall and hope it works. And we want to get people with similar needs, wants, pains, and fears. When I say similar needs, wants, pains, and fears, we need to define who our ideal customer is. And only then can we be focused and relevant and afford to be frequent. We can't be frequent to the whole world. And what we want to focus on and understand is needs, wants, and most importantly, pains and fears. People care about their own problems, their own pains, their own fears, and if we can identify what those are, people will listen to how we can solve them uniquely for them. In the last part, first they have to know who we are, then they have to like us, and then they have to trust us. So just getting our name out there, spending a lot of money, isn't going to effectively help us grow our business. The next one is to be the best in the world, you have to make your world smaller. Counterintuitive to everything we've been taught and thought. Give me more customers, give me more territory, give me more product lines, give me more markets to call on. That's the mantra of salespeople and small business owners. And if you don't focus, you spray. And as the next one says, if you try to be everything to everybody, you'll be nothing to nobody. Remember, if we're going to be successful, we have to know what's relevant when we communicate with these people out there, these ideal customers. And only when we understand what their pains and fears are, and of a similar group of people, can we really go out and be successful and focus and do it effectively and efficiently. And that's what Seth Godin says. To be the best in the world, you have to make your world smaller. If you try to be everything to everybody, you'll be nothing to nobody. You must profile your ideal customer. What are their characteristics, their wants, their needs, their pains and fears that they share in common? And now we can put messages together and go out and attract more people just like them. People don't care what you are, who you are, what you do, how long you've been in business, etc., etc., or if you've got a family business. They could care less. But if you go around the internet and you look at websites, and I don't care what market you're in, that's how every homepage starts. Hello, we've been in business. We're a family business. We've been in business for 37 years. We're experienced. We love our customers. Here's the products we have. We do the best service in the world, yada, 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 and nobody cares. Nobody cares. What people care about, and the only way to get their attention, is to talk about their pains and fears, their wants and needs. Theirs, not yours. Once you get their attention, then you can tell them how you can solve those problems for them in a unique way. That's when you can have a conversation. That's when you can get them to listen to you. Thinking about a networking meeting, when you go to a networking meeting and you walk up and somebody says, "Hi, how are you? Rick Wallace." Good. How are you doing? Fine. What do you do? What's the first thing you do? You tell them all about yourself. What you do, how you do it, blah, blah, blah. And most people don't listen. You probably don't listen to people. But if you came up to someone and said, "Hello, this is Rick Wallace. Rick, what do you do?" And I said, "I help people exceed their expectations." Most people's expectations are too low. They started a business because they wanted more money, more time, a great place to go to work, financial independence. And most small businesses haven't found that, or something to that effect. The point is that you're going to have somebody, if they're a small business owner and they have those problems, they're listening to what you're saying. It's unique. You're talking about me. You're talking about my problem. And if you know about my problem and my pains and my fears, then you must be able to help me solve them. Now I can tell them how I do that in a unique way. Same thing with your business. So then once you create that value proposition, it's your message, your elevator speech. It's on your homepage. It's everything you do starts with the pain and fears of your ideal customer. And then it goes on to explain how you can solve those things for them in a unique way. How you differentiate yourself in the market. Why you're the best at delivering the solutions to the problems and pains they have every day. So that's serving people, not selling them. It's easy to make money. Simply find someone with a problem and solve it for them. It is that simple. At any given point in time, only about 3% of a market's ready to buy what you're ready to sell. That's why when you do postcards or direct mail, you do radio ads, TV ads, there's a very small percentage. Success is defined as getting a 1% return on a postcard or a quarter of a percent on a postcard. Why that is because of people getting those. First of all, you got to get their attention or they throw in the trash. Second of all, those that are left over, only 3% of them are really ready to buy right now what you have to sell. So 2% of sales are made on the first contact, 3% are made on the second contact, 5% on the third, 10 on the fourth, 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact. The point being that salespeople can't do that. How many times can a salesperson follow up with somebody and say, just following up, just checking in? Marketing must do it, because salespeople, 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. You give them a lead, they're going to call, and they're going to see if they're ready to go, and if they're not, they're going to throw it in the trash can and say it was a terrible lead. It's just a fact. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect after that first call. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. 12 make only 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts with a prospect. But 80% of the sales are made between the 5th and the 12th contact. So your marketing's got to do the follow-up. Sales can't do it. You've got to put a marketing plan together that nurtures customers and prospects with consistent, relevant information, emails, social media, blogs. It's not going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time and resources, but those have to go on a consistent basis. Just like my blog goes out once a week. Some people do every day. Some people do once a month. Whatever the frequency is that you think is right, you got to be in front of these people so that when there's a trigger and they're ready to buy between this 5th and 12th contact, they know who to call. Their vendors let them down. Hey, I remember I get that thing from so-and-so every 2 weeks, and they really are giving me information, trying to serve me, and it seems like they're a good fit, so let me make that switch today. That's how sales are made. That's how people convert from one vendor over to another one. So in the last part, look at 9 and 10 above, because that's what it's all about. Very few people out there are ready to buy when you contact them, so we got to contact them a lot. And salespeople aren't following up, so we got to do it with marketing. Marketing is an investment, not an expense. You must measure and track everything you do and do more of what works and stop what doesn't. What is the ROI on each campaign or initiative? If I told you could go to the bank, this bank, and give them $100 and they'll give you $150 back, how many times would you go to that bank today? A lot, right? And that's what marketing's all about. It's not an expense item. It should be looked at as an investment. Every campaign, every initiative I take, I need to track and measure, find and test, find out what works, what doesn't, and do more of what works. Because if it works, every dollar I'm putting in, I'm getting 1, 2, 3, or 4 back. So I'm going to keep doing that.